Good afternoon, everybody. This is an amazing Sunday, and we have a flower queen with us from Kenya, Rosemary Kimunya from Kenya Flower Festival. Most welcome, and thank you so much for sharing our Sunday with us.
And the way
Thank
how you
you.
look, I must just say, it's impressive. It's amazing. Thank you so
Yoo-hoo!
much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Sylvia. Thank you.
I said already when I saw you, I can spot Cafe Latte and Juliet
From
on
the
your head.
distance.
This is unbelievable.
Whoa, yeah, this is Tambuzi right here representing. Yeah.
Yes.
Wonderful. So much appreciated. Thank you so much, Rosemary. It is such a pleasure. When I actually first heard about you, it was that there is a lady in Kenya. She is preparing a flower festival. I said, oh, wow, that's interesting. Tell us a little bit how you got the idea to organize a flower festival. I mean, for me, it is somehow natural because Kenya is one of the biggest flower exporter in the world. So it's not so surprising. However, it is a big surprise because I mean, we have spoken about that before. In Kenya, it is very hard to get fresh flowers and to get those flowers that we all in the world actually have access to. It is very hard for you in your own country to get those flowers. So that's why tell us the story about the flower festival.
Great. So yeah, actually we started the flower festival last year in April. And it started in as just an idea from a passion that I've had, for years about flowers. But let me start by my background. I'm actually a public relations marketing professional, and but I had never worked in a flower in the flower industry before. And so actually my upbringing is what that led to my passion for flowers, because my parents were avid, farmers when it comes to any type of farming. And I grew up in a very cold place called Limuru. I don't know whether you've been to Limuru. There are so many flower farms there actually. And but for us,
Right.
we actually did small scale farming in terms of, just having a garden, farm. And so looking at my parents doing it actually, gave me that impression that I could. I mean, it was almost like very unintentional to actually love, being able to do flowers. So I've had a background on so much other, industries, but then last year I knew it was actually time to start doing this in a bigger way. One, because I've interacted with so many florists in the country, and the problem actually remains in terms of being able to access the flowers. And being a flower growing country, I mean, we're the Garden of Europe. It felt really it didn't sit really well, especially with the florists, because they feel that the flower farms were not being supportive. And I understand from the flower farm point of view, and I also understand from the florist point of view. And so I felt the need to have to actually take the part and be the marketing person, be that public relations professional who supports the florists in this country, to be able to actually look at to be able to actually look at the numbers, because I believe in numbers. Of course, coming from the marketing background, I believe in numbers.
Yeah.
And so when I looked at the number of people, especially because I've actually checked on some of the research that has been done, especially by market leaders like Samantha's Bridals, who are very huge in weddings. And they mentioned that, especially when we were closing last year, let me use the research that was done in 2019. We've had an income generated from weddings at almost 30 billion. And that actually led me to imagine how much of a local market we have in terms of wedding. And because that is actually the biggest user of flowers. So looking at that,
Mhm.
I felt there was a need to streamline and to have a very systematic way of accessing the flowers for the florists that has been very hard for them. And I came in as that. And when I thought about anything that we could do and any kind of an idea that we could hold, Flower Festival was born. And I'm happy to say that last year we actually held our first Flower Festival. And we are so excited to also be planning to host another one this year, although we are still, checking how the market is. But we hope to do something, even if it's going to be a virtual show, we have to do something this year. Yeah,
That
so
is
that's how Flower
amazing,
Festival.
Incredible,
actually.
yes.
Yeah. So congratulations. I think it
Thank
always
you.
takes a bit of a courage of one to start a ball rolling in an industry, and I think you are the one with the courage. And I saw the pictures, and there was a lot of creativity in there. Do you think that's your idea, or not? Do you want to extend the Kenya Flower Festival to an African event, or do you want to keep it as a pure Kenyan event?
I believe, charity begins at home. So definitely looking at Kenya first, and the fact that we actually number 4 in the world, it also adds up to the fact that if we've already done the first one, we are looking into going regional, and we are looking into more partnerships. And just to mention that one of our partners and supporters is the Portugal Embassy here in Kenya. And they actually mentioned that they were the first people to support the Free State, that is the South Africa Flower Festival. The Madeira Festival came from
Yes,
Portugal.
Yes.
yes.
Yeah, so we are
We have
really looking
delivered
into such
flowers
kind
for
of.
the Free State Festival like 3 years in a row. We have a partner that is supplying all the flowers for the festival. So yeah, we have been very happy for that event. It's an amazing thing. It is like something that I think it is completely underestimated as an event here in Africa. A lot of people don't even know about that, and it is such an incredible event. People take so much effort. They have big, like, wagons full of flowers with different teams, and thousands of flowers. It's actually unbelievable.
But I see there are a lot of people from Kenya right now tuning
Yeah.
in, and I see. I mean, I don't know if you can read it on your phone, but Anez says, "Yay, we're looking forward to this year's flower festival. Yes, last year was absolutely gorgeous. Can we have it in the streets?"
Yeah.
So there you go.
Most definitely, we plan to have more of, flowers in the streets, and even have flower parades and caravans. So yeah, this is just the
Yeah.
beginning, and we can only get better with time. Yes.
Oh, let me know when it takes place. I have to come there. It is unbelievable that something happens actually in Kenya like that. I would really love to see. I mean, like this year for us, for all of us, we still don't know if we can travel, or what is going on with the situation. It's quite uncertain, but definitely for next year, we are up for traveling.
Awesome. I'll be
Can
sure to invite you and let you in good time.
Thank you very much.
I'm happy to do something, whatever is needed to be done.
Like if you don't find someone to do crazy stuff, here we go.
Yeah.
Whoa. Awesome.
Rosemary, tell me, like, what is, I mean, your greater idea behind the Kenya Flower Festival? So, like, what is your vision for this to become? I mean, obviously, like after the first time, it's maybe difficult to tell, but maybe you have a vision where you say, you know what, I really like want to bring, like, I don't know, those industries maybe closer together, or I want like those people to take more note of it, or I want like this to happen actually for our industry. like at least to shed light also from an outside perspective, like inside. So what is your idea actually when you would really like explain it to someone who has maybe not heard about the flower festival? Like, what is your vision for it?
Great. So I'd start by mentioning the objectives of the event, which are actually to inculcate that culture, because it has been said, or it has been actually assumed, that Africans, we are not flower lovers. And we would love to actually demystify that. And we would love to first inculcate that culture that will encourage the growers to actually understand that there's actually, there's actually a market for it. And apart from the fact that apart from the fact that the events are the main, when it comes to Kenyan market in terms of flower consumption, events are actually the biggest. One of the biggest uses of flowers is actually in events, and so I'm looking at a bigger picture in terms of a Kenyan or an African just walking into a shop just because they want to have the flower for beauty and aesthetics, and also other many uses of the flower, because there are so many other uses. When I look at flowers, I look at the whole range of ornamental plants. I look at the whole range of, just having cut flowers as well, because that is actually what we are growing here in Kenya. And so the bigger picture here is actually, number one, to actually gain accessibility of good flowers from the growers, because we've had that, that issue of not having a very standardized system when it comes to local flowers, and we end up having we end up having the rejected flowers. So we are looking at a point where we'll have conversations with the growers, and we are happy that we've partnered with the Kenya Flower Council. That is actually the association that supports the growers. And I'm happy that we are having these conversations around how we will not only educate the florist in terms of even benchmarking the best floristry and doing it professionally, and even ensuring that floristry is actually a career, not only just as just a job that you wake up and decide
Not
to
a
do, but
jobby.
also a professional
It's not
career.
just a jobby. In South Africa, we have the word jobby. This is not just a jobby. It's a profession.
It is a
Nothing
profession.
between a hobby and a job. It's a real thing.
And
so
I
we
think
hope
this is very. No, carry on.
So we hope to actually expose the florists to a point that we are not only exporting flowers, but we are also exporting our own expertise. We've seen some of our florists actually being taken to Holland, for example, during the flower shows, to just be able to set. So we have the creativity in the house. We have the creativity here at home. And I think being able to expose that creativity out there in a very professional manner, I believe we can go far with that.
That's amazing. And I think Mimi, I think, is touching also on something which is a little bit a pain point, I think, generally, like in Kenya and in many other countries that are growing flowers. Like she says, the floral artworks during the first ever flower festival were amazing. Definitely looking forward to the next one. We also had the chance to buy flowers to take home during the event for our gardens. But I think specifically for the cut flower like industry, and I think we hear this quite often. I mean, like almost all the produce, like all the flowers that are cut are for exports. And I think this is one of the biggest pain points also when we speak to florists and floral designers in many different African countries that also export flowers, is that funnily enough, a lot of the time they have to re-import flowers, which means like they were exported from their country, and actually to get them to work with them, they have to re-import them, which does not make sense at all. Obviously, from a grower's perspective, they might get a different currency for the flowers, and that's why they would love to like export them at a different exchange rate. But I think just in terms of the value that you can create in your own country, and I mean those flowers just add to a certain lifestyle, they add to a certain look, they add to something that is so much more special. And I think it's such a shame that the approach of a lot of farms like have maybe shifted right now, or maybe that's something that I want to know from you, like in this time of the pandemic. And now, I mean, still we see like the results of what is happening, and the rather sad situation for a lot of those farmers still. Do you think like being really dependent on sort of a local market, maybe even for just a few weeks, have shifted the perception of farmers to also focus more on the local market? Or do you think still like everything will go back to like the old normal?
Yeah, maybe can I just add that? I mean, like when this complete flower market in Holland crashed, we had instantly the next couple of days, lots of Kenyan farmers, even some of them we have never worked before, calling us if we could actually take over flowers. But nonetheless, we were all in the same situation sooner or later, to have no possibility to sell flowers. But for me, it is always, and I'm always questioned this, did before, that entire countries are depending on one single market, which is the flower auction in Holland. Everybody is producing, especially and almost exceptionally for this market, and has not diversified the market for like in other areas. Do you think this is one of the bigger problems that you see the same way? And as Alfie said, this will still continue, or have people in Kenya maybe somehow realized that that's not the right way? Maybe we have to go different ways, not leaving the auction, but maybe also having another line, or different lines, maybe local florist, like sales within Africa, or direct farm sales into other markets.
Yes, I agree. It's really sad that whatever we are going through at this point in time, and it has really affected the market. And of course, that is actually floriculture in Kenya actually injecting to Kenya about 1.29 of our GDP, and definitely that's affecting the economy in a big way. So indeed, we've had a warm, catch up with even some of the growers, and it's true. It feels it's very important to actually, broaden and even enhance more marketing in terms of marketing opportunities, and even diversify in terms of the markets, because there is also a lot of competition. In Kenya alone, we have over 100 farms all looking at the export market. And when we get to a point where in Kenya I have a wedding that I'm willing to actually buy so many flowers, and I'm ready to actually spend, but I'm not able to get the same flowers, it leaves a lot to think about. And I'm sure indeed the growers have actually, I'm sure they have realized that they need to also diversify the markets, because given a scenario, if for example this was happening outside the world and Kenya was still safe and we were still going on with our normal business, I think it would have been better if we still had something that we can share and we can actually work with. So I agree. This has actually, brought a lot of reflections in very many industries, and I'm sure the flower industry has not been left behind in that.
Yeah, and I think it is important also what I realized, or we as importer and exporter from Africa into Africa. I mean, we import flowers from African countries into South Africa, but we also export flowers into other African countries. When we started importing African flowers into South Africa, being like, people were laughing at us, and they said, where do you want to sell the flowers, in Africa? And it was almost like, why? I mean, like, what is the problem? I mean, there is a big market, you know, there is a huge market. You just have to look after it. You have to offer good quality. You have to offer varieties. And I just spoke this morning with a farmer. They had massive problems in growing one particular flower. I don't want to mention it because this is the only farm that grows those flowers in Kenya. That's why I didn't want to blame them in a certain way. And that was a huge demand. We had a huge demand of these particular flowers here in South Africa. So they stopped growing this. And what they do now is they start growing limonium and all those other stuff that everybody else is also growing. So sometimes I feel like also the market is ready for more than just roses or the cheaper sort of flowers. I mean, like, we can grow in Africa everything. We can not only grow roses, we can grow more delicate flowers like orchids and things like that. But people just have to realize there is an opportunity and there is a market for that as well. And I think I'm very happy to hear that that you opened the eyes a little bit internally for the Kenyan people, for their own products. What amazing flowers actually they produce. And I mean, we are very, very happy with the quality that we get. We get amazing hydrangeas, amazing delphiniums beside all of the roses, and whatever. There is a lot of really high quality flowers that we get. There's nothing wrong with that. And I think just Kenya maybe has to stand up and say we can do more. We are not just a cheap rose growing country. We can do much more, and I would like to see this coming in the future. And I mean, somebody like you is part of driving this.
Yes, thank you. I actually believe Africa, we have a very good climatic conditions and the soil and everything that calls for good good flowers. And I agree. I know Ecuador has been doing really quite well with the roses. And I remember when they opened up the South American market for us, I remember there was that dispute on as to whether we're actually going there to compete with the roses. And I believe the fact that we have really good soil and very good climate, I believe we could diversify. We could have more breeders who are able to support in terms of coming up with new diversified products and other flowers. And I know even summer flowers do quite well here. So I'm confident that we can actually do a lot in Africa generally. Yes.
Yeah, but I think your job, and when I also read the comments that are flying in here, your job actually goes much further than just obviously making the local industry aware of the importance, but also like pointing local people towards what they actually can find. Because most of the time, and I think this is fair for every industry, if you don't show what you have, you don't even know if you have a demand. And I think that is, I mean, you have the most gorgeous, I mean, David Austin and Garden Roses on your head. And I read here, for example, also from Carolyn Karuba Kimunya, you opened my eyes. I really didn't think I would walk through flowers and feel so much happiness. Can't wait for the next one. I mean, that's beautiful. And I think people also underestimate the value of flowers in the sense of how much they contribute to people's well-being and happiness. And I think that is like one of the biggest like items, particularly when you are doing like a public event like that, you know, like for people just to share in their joy and their amazement, looking at things that maybe they never thought are actually produced because they never see it. It all goes directly into boxes and sent out to foreign markets. So I think that is actually a very, very important role, because by that, you're creating a certain demand and putting a certain pressure on growers to actually like follow a demand from within the country, because the more people are there to request those flowers locally, the more somehow growers will have to find a sales channel in the country
For
itself.
good quality.
Yeah, for good quality flowers, of course.
Yeah, you're right. Actually, one of the other objectives in terms of educating people, especially in Kenya, is because I got so many comments around people who went abroad to only find that the flowers they've always, seen in the streets and received are from Kenya. And so that was very, it was one of those hilarious conversations you're having, and somebody is telling you, oh, I saw some scented roses. And I was like, do you know those flowers that come from Kenya? They actually come from Nanyuki, from Tambuzi roses.
Yes.
And, and I could explain more and more in terms of some of the florists who also mentioned that they learned so many of the flowers from, yes, exclusive pages, because sometimes you would share and even tag some of these flower farms, and they would be so surprised that they actually came from Kenya. So you're right in terms of educating the Kenyan market, even in terms of the types of flowers and what color of flowers, because that's another thing that we also struggle. Africans, we struggle when we think a flower is just a flower. So definitely when oops, I have a flower just fell in.
The crown is falling apart.
Yeah, they're dropping.
That's sky. It's not from the crown.
The sky just dropped flowers. Yeah, so
it rains roses.
it rains roses all the way in Kenya. I can bet with you. Yeah, so as I was mentioning, the educative bit about educating the Kenyan market about the type of flowers and even the colors has also been, has also helped in terms of ensuring that we are also able to get the right flowers in the market, and we are also able to support Africans to actually embrace the culture of giving, receiving, and using of flowers.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have an idea, maybe not for the next one, because I don't know if we can travel for the next one, but for the one in 2021. Maybe because we are almost working with almost every flower farm in Kenya. I would love to hold a workshop for your florist in Kenya
Yes.
to introduce your Kenyan flowers to your florist, and maybe to give them our experience of like how we work with them, what can be done, what is specific for the treatment, and maybe like introduce more like what technical knowledge what we work and how we work. I think the one thing is to have access to flowers, but the other thing is also that what we learned here in South Africa, we also have to teach our client about the flowers. They have to see the flowers, they have to touch the flowers, they have to work with them. It is for example, to see a delphinium which is 1.3 meter long, you have to treat them and prepare them in a special way, maybe for arrangements, other than one that is only 60 centimeter long. I think that there is a big part of education that maybe we are happy to share. If this is in a certain way a demand, I would be very happy to give something back to the Kenyan flower market that we received actually for our business from Kenya.
Whoa, great. That sounds like a good idea, and I'm happy to collaborate. I believe collaborations, will take us far. And in terms of benchmarking, also getting to share ideas from different countries and different parts of the world. So definitely that's an idea that we can discuss and, see how to go about it. And I'm very open for it.
Very happy. Let me know when it's time for that. Another thing that I wanted to know, I mean, like we have done also sometimes events the first time, and the first time is always, you have so much excitement, but when you are in, you realize like, oh my God, maybe I would have had not the idea to do that, because all the changes that come up during the process that from time to time leaves you with the idea maybe you shouldn't have done that. What was for you in planning the Flower Festival the biggest challenge?
Well, the biggest challenge and the fact that I was also not in the flower industry in terms of being able to know what happens where. But I have so many friends who are florists, and so they actually called me the bold rose, who is able to actually speak for the florists. And that was a challenge because I'm getting into an industry that is so new. And I believe as a marketer and as a public relations professional, I need to understand the market. I need to understand the industry. So I took my time. I did lots of research. But it's a very interesting industry because the fact that in terms of the locally, we've not had much done in terms of systems and standards. But I'm happy that Kenya Flower Council actually took my hand and they really embraced this idea like it was theirs. And looking back, the challenge somehow, was swept off my radar. But then again, when it comes to the time for planning, I remember we wanted to have, an open garden. And unfortunately, it rained. It rained that week before the event. It actually really rained. So we had to actually do it in a dome. So we had to actually hire a dome. And apart from that, to be honest, this was actually a really seamless event because we had so many partners. And you can imagine, we planned this event actually from May. It was quite late. Considering we were actually scheduling it to happen in October. So, and being the first event, we had to work harder, and in terms of even getting media coverage. But to be honest, it was very seamless, and I thank God for that. It was very seamless.
That's wonderful. Amazing. And I mean the comments of the people who have somehow attended or seen pictures or I mean they speak for themselves that they really enjoyed what you pulled off there. So that's actually amazing to see. And I think that is the biggest reward after all when you hear people still talking and maybe eagerly awaiting the next edition. When you say you're planning now, maybe even a virtual like edition. I mean, these days gatherings are difficult. I mean, I know they are in a way possible in Kenya still, but like for example, for us here in South Africa, we are in stage 3 out of 5 lockdown, which means we are not allowed to have any gatherings, any public events, not even private events. So like, do you think specifically, because I mean roses and flowers and are things that take all your senses? I mean, you need to touch, you want to touch, you want to smell, you want to see. Do you think like a virtual tour or a virtual event of that matter is successful? Like, do you really like, or have you done some research that you ask people, would they actually like to see it, or would you maybe do it differently to give it a different spin? Like, what are your ideas right now about virtual events? I think that's quite interesting for a lot of people who are playing with ideas. I mean, I know in South Africa we have the Johannesburg Flower Show, which actually is still scheduled, but we don't know whether it's happening or not. I do not think that they will go the virtual route, but it would be interesting to know, like, what are your ideas about it?
Okay. Yeah, it's actually something that we've had back and forth around it. And in terms of whether to actually get to do it is already on the table. And we are still discussing around it, but we are definitely planning to have a different, approach altogether in terms of designs, and we plan to actually do more of marketing the country. And we are looking into, we are having conversations into partnering with the Ministry of Tourism to also be able, because this is actually the time when everybody is at home and we are all making our own reflections. And I think it's also the best time to market our country. So we are trying to give it a different twist. So, and I understand that, you know, flowers just need a whole experience in terms of, you want to smell the scented roses, you want to touch them, you want to buy some, you know. So most definitely we may not achieve most of that, but we really hope just to keep the conversation going and also to get to market the country. So we hope to achieve a different kind of an emotive experience in terms of creating that Kenyan love, brand love, and hope that we can be able to resume once everything, you know, gets back to normalcy.
That's great. I think it's great. And I mean, it like I mean, for some people that know, like we were the first company that initiated the idea of a flower safari, you know, because we think it's so important that people actually like really go to the sources and see like what it takes to actually grow those amazing flowers, whether it's roses, whether it's other flowers, it doesn't like really matter. But I think the relationship of anyone, whether it's a private person or whether it is someone from the industry, will just be completely like different once they have seen like how much care and how much effort and how many steps are actually needed to grow those amazing creatures. Even like, I mean, they are part of our ecosystem, so it is something that is very delicate. They are very sensitive, and I think it's just very important and very like special for people to be actually looking behind the scenes of how things are done, because then also they can value what the price and what the cost of a flower is, because they know and have seen how many like steps and how many things actually go into growing those flowers. It's not just a simple cut, and it's not just like 2 weeks where you wait. It's really a lot of love and tender and care that you need to give those flowers to actually be blooming like as you have them on your head right now.
And also, like, when I can step in here, like what we personally realized, we had like last year Ursula Moroni with us for the flower safari, and he had given a flower class for people from all over the world actually. And I was very sad that we couldn't get Kenyan florists to attend. We even offered a very special rate for Kenyan florists, but none of the Kenyan florists actually attended. But what was more important for me to see at the end of the day, we at the last day, we have had a dinner in the rose field where we put all the flowers, all the roses on a big table in a huge arrangement, walking like running down the from the table to the floor. And we invited the workers from the farm to have a look at it the next day. And what was eye-opening for me or for all of us, that they had so much appreciate that we showed them what we are doing with their roses, because they have never seen that. They have never seen like what we are creating all over the world with your beautiful roses, you know. And I think it is for us very important to interlink people, to connect with the farms, with the workers, with the clients, with the florists all over the world, that everyone understands the part of the other,
and that they are playing.
That they are playing together.
Because I think that the farmers, particularly on the farm, like here at Tambuzi, they felt so much more appreciated just in the moment when they saw like the table arrangements and I mean, and they said, this is actually us, like
Yeah.
we did that in a way, you know, I mean, we were part in actually making this possible. And it's true, I mean, without like all the workers, all the people on the farms, all the like really little steps that are necessary, we couldn't receive this amazing flowers and give it to our creatives and also like pass it on for them to create magic. I mean, magical moments. This is what we do on our side or on each and every corner of the world that receive those flowers. People are creating things that are staying with them for very long. I mean, garden roses particularly, they are used for grand events, for a wedding, for a gala dinner, for something that is of high value. And I think in this way, it's sort of paying back, you know, once you actually realize what is your part in the whole story, then you can also judge a little bit differently how important your piece in the whole puzzle actually is.
Wow, great.
Yeah, and I hope whenever we do another tour, wherever it actually brings us, that we could welcome Kenyan florists. I would really appreciate that, because it is also from our perspective very important for florists in Kenya to be connected to florists from other countries. From
Yeah.
florists, they work with Kenyan flowers, not only from any florist, but from florists they have experience with working with the flowers that are growing in your country. And I mean, this is what we all do. We connect to each other to benefit from each other, to do business with each other. Being alone in your own country is efficient until a certain point, but then you need people to join, that you can grow. And I think I would like to put this little seed into like florists in Kenya and all over Africa, to work together and to connect to each other, because this connection is the success for your future. And I think that's why I also like what you are doing, that you connect those at least in your own country. And maybe when you open the flower festival for other African markets, for other African countries, there will be a big flower festival for Africa possible in the future.
Great. I'm looking at, partnering with most of these flower festivals, and I hope we could be able to have an Africa Flower Festival, for example. And that would really mean a lot in terms of what we started and, moving forward to a bigger flower festival. So I'm looking forward to such kind of partnerships. And I'm happy that you're also able to collaborate with us and to support the florists in Kenya. We are ready for that.
Whatever we can do, we are happy to do. As I said, I'm very thankful for the flowers that we get from Kenya, for all the farms that work with us, for everyone that is doing a wonderful and a great job. We couldn't be successful as we are without all the Kenyan farms and flowers and people that work with us. Thank you.
Yeah, it's our appreciation moment for flowers.
We owe you a lot.
Yes, I mean, this is
Whoa,
this
thank
is like
you.
our bread, like you are making us in a way successful, and access to amazing flowers, like really to high quality flowers from Kenya. And we cannot stress this enough, that there are amazing quality flowers from the African continent, particularly also from Kenya. But maybe for the people who are I see a lot here tuning in, do you have for this year, do you have sort of a tentative date that people can pencil in? Do you have already somehow an idea about a time frame that you are debating, so that people can get maybe excited?
Are you still there?
Rosemary?
Rosemary is frozen now.
I think we have lost her. I think she had a power issue. I saw her plugging in her adapter.
We are waiting for a second.
We'll
maybe.
see if she is tuning back in. But I'm glad actually to see so many people from Kenya that are joining us. That's really lovely to see. Thank you so much. And yeah, and as we say, we cannot do enough for what Kenya is actually doing for us. It's a part of our success story as well, apart from many other things. But there are amazing people out there in Kenya.
Yeah.
We love a lot of them.
Karibu, asante sana.
Exactly. And we actually have planned a rose safari also this year, actually for October, which I am pretty sure we will have to move as soon as we know a little bit more about the travel regulations and situation. We were planning a rose safari with Timo Bolte, who is an amazing master florist from the UK, originally from Austria. And just to have some floral funds again, we were planning it at Tambuzi, but we're gonna see like how things are going and panning out. We do want to continue that because I think this will also point a certain light at Kenyan flower farms generally, and people from all around the world will have a complete different relationship to the flowers once they have come and seen them growing in Kenya, which is a beautiful country. We're trying to invite people not only to come to see the flowers, but combine it with a little holiday, because I think the Masai Mara is something that needs to be very high up on your bucket list.
Yeah.
Huge fan of the Masai Mara and the animals there, and just the amazing hospitality that people can experience. And I think if we can all collectively shed more light on the African continent, people will go back home and be just ambassadors for what they have seen, and this will be helpful for everyone in every industry on this continent, because they will come back, they will fly, they will stay over, they will dine, they will buy stuff, they will go
back, and they will tell about what they experience. Exactly. I think this is what we want to achieve, that everyone that comes to Africa is telling their own story about Africa and what they experienced, and that's worth actually the effort we all have. I'm trying to get reconnected to Rosemary, but somehow I think something went wrong with her phone, because she cannot even get my WhatsApp.
But I think generally, I mean, like, she has done an amazing job. I wish maybe she could have told us when the next flower show is scheduled, but I'm sure she can also update everyone on her own social media platform. And then I think we thank you guys, all of you that tuned in here.
And don't worry, we are watching you. Either is it Floral Kenyan Art, is it Diana, it's whoever, I am watching you, and I really see what beautiful things you all are doing. And I'm very glad one day to meet you in person. Thanks a lot, Kenya. We really love you. We love your flowers. We are big fans of your country, of your products, of your flowers. And thanks a lot for sharing our Sunday with us.
Have a good evening, people. Stay safe.
Bye-bye.